From the early days of his administration, President Biden has tried to reassert the United States as a global leader in times of crisis. But it turns out the greatest threat to global stability may be in his own backyard. The Eurasia Group has released what it deems the top geopolitical risks of 2024. At number one, America's dysfunctional political system. Number two, the threat of the Israel-Hamas war expanding. And number three, the risk of Ukraine losing ground to Russia. Let's bring in Ian Bremmer, our friend who's the president and founder of Eurasia Group and G0 Media. Ian, good to see you. Let's work backwards here. Ukraine. Why is 2024 such a critical year for Ukraine?
The war-changing trajectory. Biden administration did a pretty good job in the first year and a half, almost 2 years of the war, in helping to ensure that Ukraine had the ability to defend itself and had strong allies that were all coordinated in that support. That is becoming much more politicized and deprioritized. We're talking a lot more about Israel, Palestine. You know, Blinken's not making 4 trips to Ukraine right now. He is to Israel. Also becoming much more divided in terms of the Americans getting tired, not wanting to provide the support, strong opposition to it from Trump. All of that makes it much more likely that Ukraine is going to be partitioned, which will not be acceptable to the Ukrainians or the frontline Europeans or the Americans. But that's still the outcome we're looking at. And it means that President Zelensky is likely to become considerably more desperate and risk acceptant to avoid that outcome.
If a partition happened, how early do you think it could happen?
Well, I mean, I think it's happening right now. I mean, North Korea has a set of nuclear weapons. We find it completely unacceptable. We said we refuse to accept North Korea having nuclear weapons. But it's the case. I mean, you know, we said Assad must go. How long before we recognized that he wasn't going anywhere? So, I mean, you know, Ukraine is partitioned today, but the reality is they're going to have to accept it. They're not going to be able to take more of their land back. They don't have the military capacity. They won't get the support. Increasingly, they're going to have a hard time actually raising the fighting force. The average age of a new Ukrainian fighter today is in the 40s. 2 years ago, it was 26. They only have 44 million people. So it's just getting harder. And I want to be very clear. I want them to be able to take their land back.
Right.
I think it's perfectly just for that to be the case. It's just not going to be. And finding a way to come to that reality in a way that keeps Ukraine intact, that gives them hope for the future, that provides security for the remainder of the country to defend themselves. There's still a window for that, Jeff, but it is a narrow window.
Ian, every day it seems like we read a headline that says, is the Israel-Hamas war about to expand or get much bigger, include many more actors, good or bad? Is it? Is it about to get worse?
There are lots of ways for it to get worse, Jeff, and it's a lot easier to see that happening than to get lucky and smart about maintaining the conflict overwhelmingly in Gaza. And I know that's hardly a small thing given what's happening with Palestinians on the ground. But certainly we're seeing much more fighting, skirmishing with Hezbollah and the northern border. And there are many, not just Netanyahu, in the Israeli war cabinet that believe that Hezbollah needs to be degraded and they need to be pushed back away from the border in accordance with UN Security Council resolutions that have never actually been adhered to. Then you have the Houthi issue, and the Americans have tried to deter the Houthis themselves and with allies. So far, it's failed. It's increasingly likely the Americans will strike those Houthi bases in Yemen. That would expand the war. You also have direct Iranian proxies in Syria, in Iraq, who are attacking American forces. And as we see casualties over time, the U.S. will respond back with force. Final point is that you are radicalizing millions and millions of Muslims, not just in the region, but also in the United States and Europe, some of whom will be violent, some of whom will be lone wolves or join terrorist organizations. That's a risk, too. So I'm not telling you which of these is going to happen in the next week. But as we look forward over the coming months, when we know the war is going to persist, the likelihood that several of those avenues for escalation will indeed occur, hopefully short of a war that will bring the United States and Iran fighting each other, because that would be a global recession. That would be $150, $200 oil. But between those 2 points is a lot of room to play, and I fear we're going to be experiencing some of it this year.
As we continue speaking about bright spots on the horizon here, you put America's divided political system now as the #1 risk. What's your biggest concern about our political system as we enter this presidential election year?
Well, in the near term, it's that when Trump gets the nomination, which is very likely, he will become much more powerful immediately. He'll have the Republican Party and their leadership behind him and loyal in a way that they have not been over the last year, the beginnings of this election. That's also true with the media on the right. That's also true with the money he'll be able to raise. And that means that his policies, both domestically and internationally, on border security, on being tough on Iran, on taking away support for Ukraine, they will become Republican policies, and that will have an impact on the rest of the world. So this isn't just about November, it's about most of the year. He's likely to get the nomination in the next couple of months.
Interesting.
But when we talk about the election itself, let's keep in mind the United States today is the only advanced industrial democracy in the world that cannot ensure that it will have a free and fair, peaceful transition of power that's accepted by its people. That's a pretty serious challenge for the most powerful country in the world.
Well, let's hope that changes. I joked about bright spots, Ian, but seriously, let me ask you about one. Give me one good thing that is going to happen or is happening in 2024.
I'm going to give you two. First of all, there are a hell of a lot of elections around the world this year other than the United States, and most of them are actually quite peaceful and stable. Places like Mexico and India and Indonesia and the European Union. Big places that are going to have stability and will continue to be able to govern themselves with reasonable reform. Secondly, the U.S.-China relationship, which has been a policy of managed decline for the last 3 years, the focus has been decline. This year, the focus is mostly going to be on management, in part because of all of the other nasty things we've talked about, meaning the Americans don't want yet another crisis to have to deal with, and the Chinese have a really troubled economy right now, and they can't afford for another big fight. Plus, America and China's friends around the world really don't want to join that fight. So lots of reasons why this relationship should be a little better managed in 2024 than it has been over previous years.
I love that there's so many things going on that probably our #1 biggest concern long term can't get any worse, you don't think, this year. Ian Bremmer, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Jeff.